Well, hello there, and welcome to the Check Drop. Today is Monday, the 17th of August, and we're happy you're here. My special guest today has had his own Comedy Central special presents special, and was seen on the Comedy Central roast of Larry the Cable Guy. He's hosted the Great American Road Trip on NBC and is also the host of Animal Planet's reality competition show Top Hooker. Please welcome to the Check Drop, Mr. Reno Collier.
Good
What's up, Reno?
afternoon. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great, man.
Good.
Welcome.
Thank you. This is cool.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, and you're my oldest comedy booker friend.
Right.
You're from the very beginning.
We go way back.
We do, buddy.
So, for those watching at home or listening on a future podcast, Mr. Reno Collier and I probably entered the comedy world about the same time, right? What year did you start comedy?
1864, I think. It was like 96.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. I think.
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Dude, I don't know. I don't remember much from back then. It was.
Oh, did I lose your volume already?
I don't think so.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I got you.
Did you?
Yeah,
I think 96.
Okay, yeah. I started in 95.
So right there.
Yeah, right in front of you. So, and then when I started Summit Comedy in 98, I started a management company, and I managed 3 comedians, and you were one of those 3.
That's right.
Yeah, until you kicked me to the curb.
I didn't kick you to the curb, dude. I just had to move.
There was a good story about that you did give me an ultimatum. Do you remember that ultimatum?
No.
You don't?
No.
You honestly don't remember?
I swear I don't.
Oh, this is a good story then. We'll go right into this.
All right.
I could tell I was working with you, and we had a great relationship. I was acting more as your agent than manager per se. Because I was kind of just feeding you the work with all the clubs and getting you into clubs across the country. So I did a good job with that. Pat myself
Absolutely,
on the back. I opened up a lot of doors for you on that aspect. But I could tell something was up. I remember what it was. I asked you to sign a contract. Do you remember that? I asked you to sign a management contract, and then because your star was rising, I have a good eye for talent, and I was like, all right, this guy, I think he's gonna go places. And I asked you to sign a contract, and you said, you know what? I'll sign it if you move to LA with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all coming back to you now.
Yeah. No, I do remember that. I wasn't thinking it was an ultimatum. I wanted you to go with me because, I didn't know anybody out there really, except for comics.
Right.
And, it was so weird and I never signed anything with any manager I've ever had.
Really?
No.
Well, I was so green at that point too. I didn't, I think we were all kind of trying to figure it out all together, and I was like, I was just I needed to protect my asset, I guess, pretty much.
Well, we were spring chickens, man. I mean, we were in our early 20s, right?
Oh,
25, 26.
Yeah. I was fresh out of college. I mean, my first job was with the Comedy Zone in 95, and I did that until 98, and then started Summit. So yeah, we were all in that together. So and then I had recently married, and I was like, LA wasn't my scene. It's never been my scene, and I said, go spread your wings, Reno Collier. Yeah. Spread your wings. And things worked out for both of us.
It did, dude. You're doing awesome.
Well, nobody's doing awesome right now.
But 4 months ago, you were doing awesome.
Oh, yeah. 5 months ago, man, I was having the best year of my life. I was like, everything was going just great for many people. So how have you been coping? What's the biggest change since March 12th or whatever that famous date was?
Well, I've been working construction. I just started going back out on the road a couple weeks ago. I went to the Stardome in Birmingham. Freaking awesome. It was so much fun. I went to Chattanooga before that.
Yeah.
Total blast. It's different. People walk in, mask on, sit at the table, take it off. They got to get up and take a leak, put the mask on, go. But other than that, you can tell that the people are really excited to be outside. To be just like I am,
right?
To be out of the house, and Dude, I poked myself in the eye today, and I'm looking at it, and the thing, my eye is like swollen shut.
Did you do that with a nail gun or something?
No, I didn't. I was taking straw out for this yard that the house is built, and the landscapers missed some stuff. So I was taking straw out of the back of the truck, and I like rubbed it. I guess I'm allergic to it. My eyes are closing. So by the end of this, I'm just like that. It's because my eyes shut.
So you mentioned before we went live that you to supplement some of your income, you were doing some construction and you like that.
I love it, dude. I don't even
Yep.
have to do it now. I'm back on the road, but when I'm off, I'm working for a buddy of mine who's a contractor. So it's kind of goofing off
Okay.
quite a bit too, more than, but I'm loving it, man. It fills the day, you know, make a little extra money outside all day. I'm not freaking out in the house. You know, I can't sit, dude. I've been traveling for 25 years straight,
Right.
you know, or whatever it is. And I can't just stop and then just be at home.
That tumbleweed has to keep moving.
Yeah, dude. Like I'm not cut out to like be at home all day and, you know, hey, I can be in a hotel all day, but I can't be at home all day. There's people.
Because, you know, at the end of the hotel day, you have your, stage time to go be able to go tell the jokes.
Yeah, you get a release. You get the energy that you can just blast out.
Yeah.
You know, and then after that, you kind of ride the high out, and then eventually, you know, go to sleep. But when you don't have that release, you got to find something just to, you know, get all that bottled up. I don't know if it's anxiety or it's just I have to do a show or I have to do something to make me feel like I accomplished something.
Well, maybe when you go back on the road full time after all this COVID mess, you can do a little side hustle, go show up at Home Depot or Lowe's or something, do some day work.
Dude, I'm doing construction. I'm not selling paint. Like I'm doing trim work and
Okay, all right.
plumbing stuff. Yeah. I mean, it was funny because I noticed when I was in Chattanooga, I was like standing on stage looking at the brick wall going, who in the hell did this brickwork? Like, this is jacked up, man. Like, Michael's like, it's fine. It's not supposed to, you know, and I'm like, look at it, you know, and I noticed, like, I'm in the house, I'm looking at the trim work, and I'm like, who did this shit? Stop. Can I cuss on here?
Oh, yeah.
Like, who did this? Like, it kind of drives you nuts, you know?
I can see Alfano going, hey, it's just fine, Reno. Shut up. Tell your jokes.
Shut up and do your job.
Yeah, and go to the end of the week. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I'm loving doing this stuff, and I'm not doing any electrical work. I mean, or plumbing. It's all, you know, wood. It's lumber and putting doors in and stuff like that.
And you knew how to do all this before, or was this kind of a learned trait during this COVID time?
It's funny. I knew how to do a lot of it. I worked construction when I was in college during the summer and stuff. I knew how to do a lot of it, but a lot of it's changed, man. I mean, I had a hammer. Nobody uses a hammer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's all nail guns. And
Yeah.
nobody uses a screwdriver. It's all a drill with a bit. And,
Right.
you know, so it was
Well, I'm glad you didn't, use a nail gun on your head today. So.
Nah, I haven't yet, but we're not done.
This is true. So, so you grew up. I know you went to school at Elon, but were you from North Carolina?
No, I went to high school in Virginia. I lived almost my entire life in Virginia. My family's all from West Virginia, so it was kind of back and forth. But I lived in Woodbridge, Virginia. Then I went to Fishburne Military School in Waynesboro, Virginia, for all of high school from 14 on. And then I went to college in North Carolina, then moved to Atlanta and then Los Angeles. But I've been in Murfreesboro for 16 years, right outside of Nashville.
I'm just wondering how you landed in college, because it's a private school, and did you not get in anywhere else?
I got in I went there to play baseball.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Do you remember that girl who waited in line when we were booking those colleges at NACA? That girl. So we were sitting at the table.
You got to be specific.
It was the National NACA, whatever it is.
All right.
But there were people Southeast. No, maybe it was the Southeast one, whichever one. And so we're sitting there. There's a line of people to sign up. And when they'd come up to us, you would try to put them together in a tour or whatever.
Right.
And this African American.
Were you with me at the time or with Joey Edmonds though?
You.
Okay. All right.
I think. Yeah, you were there.
Okay. Well, it's possible.
Anyway, the girl waited in line. She was an African American girl. She waited in line to come up. And I was like, hey, how's it going? And she's like, I don't want to book you for a show. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, what's going on? She goes, I just watched you. She goes, I'm an African American female with a 1250 on my SATs, and I have a 3.4, and I didn't get into Elon. How in the hell? She waited in that line for like a half an hour just to try to figure out. She didn't want to book me.
Not to book you at all.
Couldn't believe that I got into Elon.
You're like, I have all the check marks to get into this school.
Yeah, I have everything, and you're a half-wit. Like, I don't even...
Telling poop jokes. And
yeah, talking about church. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, I don't know, I just had a flashback to the first time, my recent mother-in-law at the time, like I took her to go see you, them at the Comedy Zone, the old one on Independence, and and they saw your act, and they're like, oh, okay. I think they wondered, like, oh, he's got to do something else, I think, too, right? Like, he's not just going to sell jokes for a living. So,
is that what they thought?
My mother-in-law for sure would probably tell, like, she was probably a little worried at the first couple of years of Shayla marrying myself, whether or not she's going to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's all worked out. Jokes has built everything around me. So it's all worked out pretty good. So
my wife goes with me sometimes on the road.
Yeah, I met her in Chattanooga the last time I was there for a NACA conference.
Oh, that's right. And in Charlotte.
Oh yeah. When we booked you at the 26 Acres Brewery. Yeah.
Dude, what a fun show, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a blast.
I miss doing those. I mean, it seems like the last, I was doing a monthly gig there, the first Thursday every month there. And that was just the one, I book 1,000 shows a year. But that was the one that I did. That's the one I booked from top to bottom. I sold the tickets, and it's the only one I ever promoted. And oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And now it's like, oh, it was like my little baby. And
yeah, it'll come back.
Oh well, I know, but God. I mean, that just seems like it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So you said you're getting back out there. You did work Chattanooga, and you said Stardome. Is it Stardome?
And then next week I'm at the Comedy Club in Kansas City, and then the week after that I'm at the Funny Bone in Toledo.
Okay. Are they all 50% occupancy? How's that working?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not doing a door deal, so I'm not sure. But man, if the Stardome in Chattanooga were any sign, people are ready to go, man, and the crowd's phenomenal. I mean, they were just dying. You could tell. And I snap a little bit. Chuck, I haven't been around you since I quit drinking, but I have a lot of built up like stuff that I used to just cover up with booze. And like I lose it on stage, and everybody else, for once, everybody in the crowd feels like they're going to lose it too. So it's like this perfect connection of we're all about to stab somebody. You know what I mean? Like it's that perfect, like I've been locked up for 4 months.
Right.
I'm finally out, and it's just like, blah! It's freaking great.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for that to happen as well. But it just seems like there's so many new peaks and not enough valleys for it to go back to any kind of normalcy. I mean, I'm surprised that these clubs are even opening still. Because, I mean, I just saw again today, like, all these colleges just started back into last week or this week. And UNC Chapel Hill, they started last Monday, and they just shut down today. So 7 days later, they just shut down.
Yeah,
and,
right after they get the tuition check, and they're shocked.
Right. That probably had something to do with that. But I did see, I think in the small print, that they are giving the money back or whatever, or allowing it to be pushed over to the next semester. So I think that was the whole concept. I mean, my son just started. His first day of classes was today. He's up at App State, and that's
where you went, right?
It is. Yeah.
And you were making fun of Elon. Shut up, dude.
Keeping the legacy alive. I wasn't making fun of it. I was just surprised you got in there, to be honest with you.
You and everybody else.
I was just like that girl on the NACA line.
Baseball helped.
I didn't know the baseball aspect of it.
Yeah,
so
that's the only way I got in.
I
had like an 850 on my SAT, or I don't even remember.
Yeah. So so he started classes today, and it was so overwhelmed with the online because it was half virtual, I guess, and a lot of the virtual links, whatever. It crashed the whole system. So,
did it really?
Yeah, so it couldn't even like log in. He's like, I came up to Boone, hanging out, over the weekend, getting all acclimated, all set to start classes today, and the whole thing shut down. Yeah. So he might be back in a week or two as well. Who knows? So
if we get a vaccine, I think people will kind of. I hope.
Yeah, well, I think that's the only thing, right? I think that's the only thing that's gonna kind of open up those doors where everybody's kind of in phase 1 or phase 2 still. I guess the phase 3 was, gently bringing everything back together, but I don't think. I mean, but although I keep saying this, that there are some states that are like every state is a different country, right? I mean,
right.
Everybody has their own separate rules, and now there's quarantine rules. Like if you fly into certain states, that you have to stay there for 14 days in quarantine before you can even do anything or go back. Or it's nutty, man.
Dude, that's how. I mean, I had stuff booked all through it, and some of them I wouldn't find out until a day before I was supposed to leave, and they're like, "We're down again."
Yeah.
They shut us down for a waitress got, or whatever, and then it would be right back to It sucked, man. That's why I was like, I gotta go do something. I can't just sit here waiting for stuff to get canceled, and but I totally get it too. You know what I mean? Like, I totally understand.
Yeah.
That, and especially with clubs, a lot of them are like, man, I know we paid you last time, but we can only put in 80 people a night.
Yeah.
And we're all in this together. It's like, okay, man, I got you. Let's figure it out and let's go. I'm ready to.
Yeah, isn't it funny how we keep saying that? I mean, I've said that numerous times. I said it like a couple times today. We're all in this together, and there's been other high-profile, agents and managers that we're all in this together. Well, no, some of you guys are making a lot more and such.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I think in the industry that we are all in this together, because we're all clawing our way to find our way and just make whatever we can in this business.
What's the new norm gonna be?
Well, I believe the new norm is going to be tough. That the high end guys that are constantly selling out theaters, that's going to be the last thing to come back. So those guys are going to be taking up club space. So now you're going to be arm wrestling, trying to get your way into to the clubs. I feel like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but a lot of those guys won't do shows for half capacity.
Unless they really want to get out there, like you said, if they're bored sitting at home with
just have to do something,
right? I mean, so I don't know what that new normal is going to be, but it's going to be interesting. I mean,
I'm not worried about it. I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it is going to be fine either way. If I never did another show again, it'd be fine. I'll just be one hell of a nail gun guy. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it might not pay as good or whatever. Maybe it does. I don't know.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But it is pay.
Well, yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, you're out doing something. I mean, I'm sure some guys are still sitting at home going, I feel sorry for myself, and just sitting on your ass. I mean,
I got no time for that. I'm living on borrowed time as it is. I'm going to enjoy it.
Well, you're not drinking now, so that's a good sign, right?
Yeah.
When did you stop that?
It's been 3.5 years.
Okay. Did it just get too much? What was your stopping point? Because, I knew that you liked the sauce. I like the sauce. And you and I actually got in trouble one time drinking. Do you remember that in Columbia, South Carolina?
What did we do? I remember we were drinking.
We were drinking. Me, you, my wife, and Geraldine Wheeler. We were at a club. What is it? What is that club in Columbia? I'm drawing a blank.
The Comedy House Theater.
Yeah. And we were there, and I believe it was Larry the Cable Guy was working there, and you were opening, and we had driven down there to hang out with you. And I think it was just simple. We were just had an open container, but we each got like a $250 fine or something like that. I was like, and none of us had $250 to spend at that time. But,
Did I get one too?
yeah, you absolutely did. So
I don't
think
live in Murfreesboro. I live in Gainesville, Florida. If you see me out here,
you probably tried to take it out of your commission check too. So like, hey, just go ahead and pay that.
oh, dude.
So sorry, that's a side story. So what was your bottom? What was your like? Hey, I just can't do this anymore. I'm stopping.
I wasn't having fun anymore, and
Yeah.
but I was having fun, but my liver was getting jacked up, and my
Could you
doctor,
tell? You could actually tell something was going wrong with your
No.
health?
I went to the doctor just for like a blood work cholesterol thing, and he was like, "Reno, your liver numbers are jacked." And I was like, "Oh, really?" Because I knew what was coming next. And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "This is gonna kill you." He's like, "If you keep drinking like this, you'll be dead in like 5 years." And I was like,
Jesus.
"So I could drink for 4 more?" And he's like, "No, you dumbass." So it was, and I didn't know. Like, you don't know with your liver. Your liver goes and you're gone.
Yeah.
So he
You
goes,
don't-
"I don't know what kind of damage you have." So he's like, "Just try to knock it off and see what happens and come back in like 8 weeks." So I quit. Maybe it was 3 months. And I went back and he's like, "You are lucky, back to normal. You're fine. But I'm just letting you know that your body doesn't forget." And it just was like, I don't want it to be a I mean, I enjoyed drinking, but if it's a problem, I got kids, man. I don't want to die,
Yeah.
go out like that. So I quit. And then apparently, according to my wife, I have ADD and all kinds of shit that I didn't know that I had. And I drink to calm down. And now apparently I'm a basket case, but whatever, man.
And how long you been married to your new wife?
It's been 3.5 years.
Okay. Well, ironically, right when you
No, 2.5 years. 2.5 years.
Oh, okay.
2.5
I was gonna
years.
say, wait.
Engaged.
Ironically, when you stopped drinking, so
Well, no, I mean, she still drinks.
yeah.
I just don't. But no, yeah, it is kind of funny. We dated for like 3 years, and we both drank, and I drank a lot more than she did. She's little, and I, used to be much.
Well, yeah,
bigger.
you look great. I mean, you look like you've lost like a lot of weight, and
Like 50 pounds. That's
Yeah.
how much I was drinking. 50 pounds.
did it come off immediately once you stopped?
Had no idea. Yeah, but I had to go to the gym. I didn't care about getting in shape. It honestly was anxiety and like I have to go do stuff
Something
during
else to
the
do to
day.
fill the time, and
Yeah, and just to burn myself out so I
Yeah.
could sleep. I could stay awake for days.
yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I remember you used to have a show, the Chunky Chicken Show. You and
Yeah.
that comedian Michael Roof. Is that
Yep.
is that his name?
Yeah.
How long did you guys do that?
A couple years.
Okay. Yeah,
off
that was
and on.
after you and I were working together, I believe. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
he got that show hype.
yeah, talk about
lasted.
a star that fizzled out quickly, right? I mean, his
He passed.
yeah, I knew that, but
Okay.
he got into drugs, right? I think was his scenario.
No, not really.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, it's more mental illness stuff.
Okay.
Um,
Because
drugs might have snuck in a little bit, but he wasn't like some
okay.
heroin type. It wasn't that, man. It was mental illness, and it was because he was doing great, man. I mean, he was in Black Hawk Down. He was in both those Triple X movies.
Right. Like I think he was the last one I remember that he went to Montreal and just got this huge deal. Like everybody was
Yeah.
fighting over him and stuff, and that was like, and you don't hear that anymore.
No,
So
no, that
Like-
was the last one.
he got the last ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So when you your star started rising quickly on your own, just because you're obviously very talented. But you started getting in with the Blue Collar Comedy Boys. So tell everyone how that happened, and how you got to be a part of that whole scene.
So I was living out in Los Angeles, and I'd gotten like 3 years in a row. I got development deals, like Columbia TriStar one year, and then whatever. And I kept getting the deals, but I couldn't get the show on the air, right? So I didn't want to be one of those guys that just kept selling stuff and never could do anything. And I got Comedy Central, like Premium Blend, and I did Bill Maher's show, and I was doing like little TV things. But my wife at the time was pregnant with my son, and she's from here in Nashville. And I was like, I got to get out of here. I want to go and get out. And at the time, the blue collar thing had just started to pop, right? It had just started. So I was talking to a management guy at Parallel, and they were like, I was like, look,
Was that John McDonald or?
yes,
Okay.
it was, and JP also.
Yep.
And they were like, we're interested in managing you. And I was at ICM at the time, and my agent was friends with whatever. And we're interested in managing you. And I was like, well, what about this? I want to move to Nashville. And they go, well, how about this? We're going to put you on tour with Larry the Cable Guy. The bus leaves out of Nashville. Go ahead and move. And I was like, pow, I'm out.
Nice.
And so moved here, and then started out when he first started touring.
I thought, excuse me, I thought you were going to say, only if you follow me to Nashville.
Yeah. I should have.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
That's hilarious. So I came out, and then I started touring with Cable Guy, and that's when he first started doing theaters.
Okay.
Like he was just starting to go out by himself.
So at that time, it was just him, right?
Yeah, by himself.
All right.
And he'd branched off. They did the Blue Collar movie. It popped on Comedy Central, and then they all split to go off and do their own shows, right?
Was that when the management split as well?
No.
Okay.
No, that wasn't until later.
Okay.
And then, so we did we got a bus, and we're running around, and it was silly, and he didn't even know. Like, we'd show up to do these shows, show after show after show, and then one day, one of the guys, Randy, that was with us, was like, hey, can we get some chips? And they're like, sure, of course. And I'm like, can we get some beer? And they're like, yeah. They're like, can we get some Jim Beam? And they're like, well, yeah, of course. And we're like, how about a pizza? And they're like, you can have whatever you want. They were like, we've asked over and over, do you guys want food? And nobody ever answered. And Cable Guy, Dan's like, So then we went on this thing where it was like everywhere we showed up, there's like 4 pizzas and 3 bottles of Jim Beam. And he didn't really drink. It was for me and the tour manager and beer and all this stuff. And gradually it just started to grow and grow because he didn't know.
Your rider requirements are like 40 items now.
Yeah, but it's all cheap stuff. It's like, Hooters wings, Domino's pizza,
Twizzlers,
and beer. Well, he thought the whole time they were doing Blue Collar that all that stuff was for Jeff. Like, he didn't even know. He was like, it was funny. But like for like a month, every time we go into the show, there's 1 bag of Tostitos, and that's all that was on the table. And we're like, oh, cool, they did that, Like it was so dumb.
You're like selling out theaters and not thinking that you're gonna be able to get whatever the hell you want.
He's selling out like 2 shows at these theaters, and then gradually, I mean, I was out with him for 10 years.
Wow.
And then 2 and
That's
a
awesome.
half was me. I was opening for Ingval Foxworthy and Cable Guy in arenas like the Boston Garden and all that. We did that for like 2.5 years, and it was just a crazy ride to be on.
That sounds like it,
dude. He went into arenas. I should have been fired every day. First of all,
I was wondering, I mean, that you did that for so long. I mean, a lot of headliners like to mix up their opening acts, and they get tired of working with the same guy all the time. And and you must have done something right.
It was, dude. We're just like brother, like we're competitive. Clearly, he won, but we're like competitive, and we're always, we used to just screw with each other all the time. But it was weird because, I mean, dude, you saw it. He just exploded.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, household name overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and get her done, man. Holy shit.
Here's the thing a lot of people don't know about him, though, is people were like, God, that movie came out. He just exploded. Well, for years, when we were on the road, he would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and call like 10 radio stations.
I did
like
hear that,
one
man.
in Kansas City, one in Baltimore, one in Iowa. And he'd write these things, and he'd wake up for no reason and for free. He'd call them. So when Blue Collar blew up, all these people like in Baltimore and Kansas City and Albany, they had been hearing him for years, calling in So they were like, oh my God, that's what he looks like. We've been listening to him on the radio, and it was just the perfect storm. You know
Right.
what I mean? But he did do a lot of work, a lot of legwork early on.
Yeah, well, he changed
You
his
know?
name. He was Dan Whitney, right? I mean, then
Yeah.
and I don't know what year he switched that over. It had to have been probably early 90s, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, but man, what a ride. I mean,
Yeah.
so, I mean, did you save all that money or do you, like,
Some.
yeah?
Some, yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Not,
I mean-
not enough. I had more saved before the divorce. I thought I was going to be okay for a little while. But then things changed.
Yeah, things change. Change is inevitable,
They
right?
do. They do change, Chuck.
So working those big arenas, what was the biggest biggest crowd you worked in front of? Do you know?
The biggest crowd was at the Nebraska football stadium. There were 60,000 people, and that was freaking unbelievable.
Do you like shit your pants like before you go out there? I mean, like, are you nervous? It's something like
Oh
that.
my
I mean,
God, dude! I'm not trying to just talk about old times, but I had done the Today Show the day before it, right?
Okay.
Not nervous at all.
The Today
Totally
Show.
fine.
Were you just promoting his show?
No, I was promoting an NBC show that I was doing.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And that's in the morning. After I did it, I flew to Nebraska, get to Lincoln. Cable guy picks me up. I get in the truck, and we're just sitting there quiet. And he's like, "You nervous?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm about to just throw up all over myself." And he's like, "I am freaking out," because he's from there too.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he lives there now, right?
Oh yeah, he's lived there forever.
Yeah.
And so right before I was about to go out for my part, right? And there's camera guys because they were filming a special, and there's Comedy Central people running everywhere, and there was an airplane that was supposed to be him. It was actually a skydiver, and it was real overcast, so they had to drop down to like 2,500 feet. The guy jumps out, barrels into the stadium, and hits his head on a post. It's supposed to be Cable Guy. He wanders behind the thing, blacks out. Like, it's a mess, right? The special ended up hilarious. But I'm standing backstage before I'm going out, and I go completely blank. Dude, there's 60,000 people out there. There's, like, screens everywhere. And I'm like, oh, my God. I can't even remember the first thing.
Were you sober?
No. But it wasn't because I was drunk. I was sober enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a beer or two, like not
Okay.
drunk. And I'm going like, I can't even remember my first thing. And Josh Wolf was with us, and he was bringing me out. And right before he brought me out, this big, bald biker, like union guy who was working backstage walks over, and I'm going like, oh, my God. And he goes, Reno. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you are going to kill it out there. He's like, I effing love you. And I was like, you do? And he's like, I do. He's like, give me a hug, man. Give me a hug before you go. And I'm like going, okay. And he like bear hugs me. He's like, you're the funniest MFer I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, you're damn right I am. And Josh is like Reno Collier. And I went out and remembered everything and killed. But if it was like a God wink, if God wouldn't have given me that freaking biker maniac to get my head straight, I probably would have walked out and been like, I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's like clear and just pumps you.
Dude, I was used to have really bad anxiety attacks, and I was having one where like I couldn't think of anything. Like it would just, I'd get dizzy, and it was like this weird panic thing. And if you're having one and then you look out and see 60,000 people, it doesn't help. And there weren't enough Coors Lights to fix it. Dude, look at my eye is almost completely, I'm like a freaking pirate. I didn't see it before can you notice it closing?
I can't really notice that much.
All right.
No, you look great.
It's weird, man.
Yeah.
I keep seeing, I gotta.
Is it humbling going from a 60,000 person show, like then going to like, 150
No,
comedy club? I mean,
not at all. It's
No.
the best feeling in the world. Dude, those like arena shows, nobody's even looking at you. The people,
they're looking at the big screens.
That's exactly,
Yeah.
They're looking at the Jumbotron that's up above you. Like even the people in the front row sit like this. Like, and the people in the back, like I was always like, why do people go to see a ventriloquist in an arena like everybody's a ventriloquist if you're sitting 50 yards away. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if they don't have the jumbo thing, but it's like people pay the money to watch it on TV. I would much rather do a show for 150 to 300, even like 1,200. Great. But when you get into like 6,000, 8,000, unless you're in a theater, they're not fun, dude. I hated those arena shows.
Yeah, they're just not intimate, I guess. I love
No.
I love that you said everybody's a ventriloquist at that distance, because I had a show a couple years ago with a ventriloquist, and the same thing. There, people were in the back going, "Well, we couldn't see him." It's like, well, yeah, that's what
He's
happens.
that good.
I promise you, his lips weren't moving at all. He's really good.
I'm just gonna let this grow down. Hey everybody, what's going on with you? Wow.
That'll be yeah. Start prepping now for your entry back in. You'll just surprise the world, like, oh, I do ventriloquism now. Oh shit!
That I promise you, there's not a lot I can promise you will never happen. I can promise you that will never happen. I can't.
Or doing prop comedy. You can be like Carrot Top.
You know, I'd take Carrot Top's gig right now, I guess.
You know what? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people bag on him, but you know what? When's the last time you saw, besides like Heath Heitch? Like, I can't remember another prop act. I mean,
dude, not only that, people
it's hard to
copy
do.
It. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, that's how good he is. People try to copy it, and no one else has made it doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
like
I
I said, I have
think
not
he's
seen
smart,
one.
dude.
I haven't seen a prop comic since Heath Heitch. I mean, I've seen some people try, and it's not so good. But yeah. I don't know.
But dude, look at what Carrot Top's done. I know other comics rip on him.
Right.
You didn't do it.
No,
You know
he
what
was
I mean?
he was my first gig when I graduated college. I was his agent for about a year and a half. That was my
I
first
know.
gig. So that guy. I mean, he was huge. He was.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember
And
taking
he's
him.
really nice, man. He's
Super nice guy.
Super nice guy.
Yeah, I remember taking him to a NACA national conference, and he had broken his leg snowboarding, and I had to push him through the crowd with in his wheelchair, and it was nuts. The people, I mean, he was like a rock star. So
Yeah.
he has the longest residency as a stand-up comedy over anybody.
Yeah.
He's been at the Luxor for, I don't know how many, like 12 years, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then he just renewed his contract for like another 10 years, I think. Like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, at
Yeah,
some
keep
point
making
he's gonna.
fun of him.
Yeah, yeah.
Make
He's not
fun of me too in that way.
He's not worried about any of us.
No, I wouldn't be either.
So, have you adapted or pivoted to the Zoom comedy shows, or not? Yeah, Andy Franklin asked, "How do you guys feel
No.
about Zoom shows?"
Well, it's not a show.
Okay,
I mean, it's not.
it could
it's-
be.
Like,
It's not traditional.
no.
I think-
maybe somebody can do it, not me.
Right.
I can't do. Like I do Zoom on Bob and Tom every week,
Okay,
and that's quick. But an hour of me talking into, like, if I was doing a show right now, I probably would have gone and made a sandwich. I mean, like, I wouldn't have. You wouldn't have lasted.
you're like, hold on, I need more ketchup.
Well, I'm insecure. If I don't get that laughter and I can't hear it, I guess if you could hear the laughter and you could, who knows, dude? I'm saying this now. In 2 weeks, I'll be like, hey, Chuck, I got this Zoom idea. You got to call me.
Right.
You know? But
Yeah. I was like I said to you earlier off mic. I was kind of bagging on it as well. I mean, early on, but I mean, I've seen some people do it really well and make it work. It's like anything. Like it's what you put into it, and is what you're gonna get out of it. So I've seen some people put in the time and money to make it work with like nice green screen and put some effects behind it and such.
that's awesome.
Sound and
I was
lights.
just saying, for me, standing in front of what looks like I'm in a funeral parlor trying to go like my ex-wife or whatever I'm talking about at the
Right.
time. You know what I mean? I just don't think that I'm sure somebody can do it. If I could make videos and do weird stuff and there were people paying to watch that, I'd do that all day. But I
Right.
can't do my act.
Sure.
It's, I need the,
But yeah, your comfort zone and what you are putting across to the buying audience, I guess. So I mean, if it doesn't work for you, some people can make it work, some people don't. I mean, look at the whole YouTubers, the influencers,
Yeah.
and like so many people said that'll never go over in the comedy clubs, and then they're selling out Monday nights and Tuesday nights, and we're like, what the hell? So
Yeah, and then you watch their show and you go, well, we probably won't see that again.
well, absolutely, but you know what? There's just another one the next week, and
Absolutely.
you know another one the next
They
week.
put asses in the seats. They sell tickets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that's how you do it, I'm old, dude. I don't like.
Are you jaded yet? Somebody asked me that the other day. Are you jaded yet? I've been in the comedy business since '95, and I'm like, I don't think I'm jaded per se, but I do feel like I'm getting to be older. Like people look to you as a wise old comedy agent or a comedian, and you're like, okay, I'm just doing. Like you said, we're all in this together. I mean, we're all in the same boat now.
I'm not. I don't think I'm jaded, but I'm definitely stuck in my ways. Like
right.
You know what I mean? Like I love comedy. I love laughing more than anything in the world, you know, and I love making people laugh. So I don't think I'm jaded to comedy, but some of the stuff that happens, I just can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
You know, as far as somebody goes, oh my God, this guy came in and he sold 2,000. You know how it was when I started out, you work your way up. Excuse me. You know what I mean? Like
MC feature,
headline, start to do short weeks and one nighters and
split weeks. Yeah.
Headline. Yeah. And that's how you got to where you're going. But now there isn't that. And I think you're seeing a generation of some comics that think YouTube is everything. And if you don't have a YouTube video, you don't, but then you watch them on stage and it's like, dude, you should have just sold more YouTube. You know, I'm sure that you're selling
because they're trying to skip the levels. They're
skipping all the work.
Yeah, so work on the road and making it work and
living in your car. I lived out of my car for 4 years. Like, you know, they're not putting it in, and then you watch them on stage, and it's like, I'm not gonna. But I mean, there was a kid who didn't even ask anybody what their name was when he was emceeing, and it didn't think to go like, hey, do you have an intro? Do you have
right? Because he hadn't done it before, so
no, and because he thought he was anyway. The guy's gonna know I'm talking about it, but they're just not taught. They're not. It's not. I mean, I remember people being like, "Don't tell any jokes. Say who's coming the next 3 weeks. Talk about these comment cards. You know, before you do anything.
Right.
This is your job." Basically, I'm paying you for the week, and your job is to go up and talk about who's coming next week.
Yeah, and you're the promotions guy now.
$200 for the whole week, and you're paying for your food.
And you're gonna like it.
Yeah, but that was something that I was like, "You're damn right I am, and I'm gonna make it. You can kiss my ass." I was all happy and full of life, you know. But they don't have that, and they think, you know, instead of writing jokes, plus some of them just talk, like they're not even trying to make it funny anymore. It's like, yeah, you know how that is. And I was like, you were like, what? And I was like, man, no. What? You know, and then they come to me and I'm like, And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're ruining the crowd, you know, like I don't know.
Imagine you as a new comic back in '96, fast forwarding like to starting right now in 2020.
Oh God!
What would you do? Do you think you'd still have that desire to make it work no matter what?
That's a great question. I don't know, man, because I was teaching school when I was working. When I worked at the Punchline.
Yeah. Were you like a substitute or something?
No, I taught people.
You actually okay?
I did sub also, but at the Punchline. I worked the door. I worked in the kitchen. I bartended. I cooked. I seated people. Like I did everything, and then that's how I got stage time. Because like the girls' bathroom would be all jacked up, right? And in the middle of the rush, and everybody's going crazy, and these girls, you know, these good looking, they're like, I'm not cleaning up the bathroom. And I'm like, I'll do it for 7 minutes on Wednesday. And they're like, no. And I'm like, seriously? And they're like, fine, 5, go. And I'm in there like, you know, cleaning up the toilet. Knock, who's there? You know, trying to
clean it up, vomit for 5 minutes of stage time.
Yeah, and God knows what else. But that's how I got in. And then the open mic guys would get pissed because they're like, he gets up every time. And I'm like, that's because I was here for
shoveling
a food
shit
order this morning, you jackass. But I don't know if I don't because that wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't get a job at a club right now by just walking in, and you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah.
I don't know, man, and I don't know because you can't make a living at it now. Like I used to be able to work every week. When I say I lived out
you're
of
welcome.
my car, thank you, Chuck. Such a good guy.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you could work.
No, I get it.
Now it's just not there. You can't.
Well, I remember those days because I was so worried if you weren't working. Like I'm like the opposite of most people in this business. I cared.
I know you did.
I was like, oh my god, if like you or Mark Ryan had an open week, I was like, oh man, like I got to fill this week because
they have nowhere to live.
Right. They need to get some food that week. So I mean, that was my goal. That was my job for at least 3 years. I mean, and then I managed Mark Ryan a little bit longer, but yeah, I mean that was man, so I know what you did. I know what you made, and none of us had any money because I was only getting 15% of that. So I was like, ugh. I was like, shit. Like I better start booking them some more. Every time though, I was trying like, hey, at least give them $50 more this week. I was pretty good at that. And
dude.
Slowly, but
we were busting our chops back then.
Yeah, but like you said, like not being jaded, but like not settling. Now it's like now somebody will call me and want to book something for like I don't know, like $500. I'm like, it's not worth my time.
Right.
But back then you're like, heck yeah, I'll do it, and I'll make my $50 or $100 commission, and you do what you got to do, and so,
heck yeah.
I mean, shit, if this COVID mess keeps coming back up. $300. No,
yeah.
It's funny actually. There's a guy that may be listening right now. Actually, asked me if he could book a show for like $150, and I was like, and I just threw it out there as some comics because I knew that there'd be some hungry ones right now, and of course they're taking it, and it's so sad, to see that. And I saw a comedian post a couple of days ago, Mike Brody. I don't know if you know him. He's out of the Midwest. And he posted I think he was just, I don't know if he was trying to get ideas, but because he's like, what's everybody doing for jobs now that they're not working at stand-up? So, and it was just sad to see all these comics that, like, some of them said, like, hey, I just quit my full-time job in January to pursue comedy full-time. And now they're like, oh, I mean, that's a dream, right? To get to that point where you can cut all your side gigs and just go out on the road and try to make it. And
yeah.
Holy shit! What timing is everything in comedy, right? And I can't imagine doing that, quitting your job in January, February, or whatever, and now, whew.
Going home. Remember how we were giving you $200 a week? Now you get $100.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you ever see yourself retiring from stand up?
No.
I
just had that conversation with my wife. I was like, I'll never. She's like, well, when we retire, I'm like, I will never retire.
Right.
I mean, wheel me in there. I think comedy retires you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like comedy I could retire not by my own choice.
There's probably people retiring now, obviously.
Yeah.
Don't you think some of the older guys in their late 50s, early mid 60s or whatever that are like, hey, this seems like a good time. This is, like you said, this is the job retiring me scenario.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm the same way. Shayla told me that. My wife said that. She's like, you're never going to retire. Why would you retire? You can return a phone call sometimes and make $1,000 or whatever. So why wouldn't you do that? And I'm like, well, because I'm golfing.
Yeah, but you can take the phone call on the golf course too.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
I just can't stop moving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what do you do on the road then? So everybody jokes about stand-ups that you work an hour a day. So, but yet traveling is the hardest part, I assume, getting to the places and such. But so when you get there, like, what do you do to kill your time on the road?
I'll go to the gym. I go to like hole-in-the-wall places to eat. I try to go over some stuff. But most of the time, man, I mean, it's so quick. It's like you go on Friday and you go home Sunday.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of...
You're not working the long weeks like the Wednesday through Sundays anymore?
I haven't in a while. Well, I would, absolutely. But they're just haven't set up like that.
Yeah.
So before, a lot of the shows I do is a different place every night. Like I'm doing some shows with Pat Godwin.
I love Pat.
Remember Pat, man?
Yeah,
We used
tell
to
him I
have a
said hello.
blast.
I should
I
have him
will.
on here. Tell
You
him to come on
should.
here. Yeah.
You should. But I've been doing Bob and Tom with him, so we're doing some shows together. But it's a different place every night, you know. So it's, dude, I don't know how I'd work Monday through Monday right now. I don't care. But it's most of it has just not been. So I mean, it's 1 day, 2 days. I sleep too. I try to sleep in the hotel.
Do you write much still? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I have, and it's not all COVID stuff. I mean, a little bit of it is about being locked up more than anything else.
Okay.
But yeah, I write more since I quit drinking than I ever did in my life.
A little bit of clarity.
Yeah, but most of it comes on stage. Like I'll just take a subject and be like, I'm going to talk about this for 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
And something about everybody looking at me forces my brain to spin in whatever direction I'm trying to go to get the joke out of it.
Is it off the cuff most of the time? I mean, until you work it out?
The subject isn't, and the preface, whatever the word is for it,
premise?
the beginning part isn't.
Okay.
I know what I'm going to say. I don't memorize anything, and I don't write anything down. It's just, if it's funny enough, I'll remember it, and then I go off on it. So it'll lead into something. I have 1 or 2 things that I think are kind of funny, and then just let my brain take off on it. Okay. And there's something that I can't do it like sitting at a table. I can't think of things that are as funny as I can on the spot when everybody's looking at me. And, I can, and I always have stuff to bookend it with. Like, I'm not going to eat it over a new bit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what to do before and what to do after and try to pin it in there.
Well, I was going to ask, like, with you mentioned you had ADD earlier. Like, does that, do you kind of know where your show is going to start to finish, or
no?
You just kind of wing it every time. Like,
not anymore.
You don't have a certain opener and a certain closer.
Yes.
Or do you? Okay.
I have open. I mean, honestly, 2 minutes at the beginning and 2 minutes at the end is the same, and everything else is all over the place.
Okay. So you've been doing the same opener and closer for how long?
6 months.
Okay.
Maybe, but I mean, I've been home for 4 of it.
Do you mix that up like yearly and just like, all right, here's my new opener, here's my new closer?
Well, I'm doing an album, right?
Okay.
So somebody, I think it was Jim Gaffigan, said this to somebody that I don't know. Somebody said this though. Excuse me. That whatever I'm trying to get rid of, push it to the very end, right? Okay. So as I retire and get rid of a bit, and this is not mine, honest to God, I think it was Jim Gaffigan. Somebody else thought of this, but it just seemed to work in my head. Nate Bargatze is the one. So
he's Nashville too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's so freaking funny, dude.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good.
Kills me. And so does Dusty Slay. Have you ever seen him?
Oh, yeah.
Hilarious.
I saw his Montreal New Faces up there.
Yeah.
He did really well up there.
He's great. So I push it to the end. See, dude, I told you I can't focus.
I had the same way though. Like you said, you mentioned Dusty. Like Dusty is the reason why I started this. He asked me to do his questions. He was doing like a 10-minute or live stories or whatever right at the beginning of COVID, and he asked me to do a story, and I was like, that was fun. Maybe I should start doing this because I have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So that's how I started this. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Like 10 weeks later, I'm like, all right, here we go. So,
yeah. It's fun though, right?
Yeah, I mean, the whole theory was like I can't, I wasn't booking the virtual shows. I mean, if I can get my brand in front of more people, some way, shape, or form, I was happy with that. I mean, and I get to talk to like my old buddies like you and new faces too. I've had some people on that hey, I've never met or maybe met once or twice and just want to like learn more about them and their comedy. And so yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, heck yeah,
it's a fun little gig. So.
Yeah.
All right, see, we got off topic. I don't know what we're talking about.
We're talking about pushing bits out. So
yeah.
Pushing it to the end. So
okay.
Then so whatever's newest, I'll open with because it puts the most pressure on me to
good point
to make it work. And then everything else is like I've had some teaching stuff that started out real small that I did for a long time, and then it grew into this longer chunk of bit, right? So as I keep adding to it, I'm like, I have to stop. This has to go because it was on the last album I did. So I'm pushing it to the very end and then building on the new 50 minutes as you know what I mean? Like as more new stuff comes, it just gets to where I don't even have time to do it anymore.
Oh yeah, that's
so
good.
It
good problem to have, right? I mean,
yeah, it retires itself. It kind of takes itself out.
New comics right now are going, man, like that they only have that 6-7 minutes and they can't write more or whatever. I'm sure they're all like, man, I want that problem to have that much material, right? So,
but dude, also I've been doing it so long that if something goes off to the side, I've got probably 3 hours of shit that's in my head that, you know what I mean, over the year, like
a Rolodex too. Like, all right, somebody says something and catches you off. You go to that bit and
like
go to
the bit of my grandfather, or
go to the file in your brain and go, oh yeah.
But I don't do that, but I know I can. So it takes anything out of it. Plus, dude, the best thing that ever happened was when I just stopped caring at all if anybody laughed. You know what I mean? As far as, obviously, I do want people to laugh, but if they don't, it used to upset me. It doesn't upset me anymore. I don't care.
Unless it's for 45 minutes and then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like on a new chunk or something. Yeah.
Like, I didn't care. They didn't laugh for 45 minutes. Mic drop, and then Alfano goes, we need to talk.
Yeah, I ate it the whole time. You guys suck.
Where's my check?
Yeah. Pay me.
It doesn't work that way, does it?
No. You know what I mean, though? Like, it doesn't. If I tried a new bit, a lot of comics, like if you think of something on stage and you say it one night, it's like, oh my God, that's hilarious. That's staying. Then for some reason you do it the next night and it's like, and it's almost like the crowd picked up that you thought of it immediately and that's why it was funny. Yeah. You know what I mean? As opposed to always trying to push it in. So I used to do that and it would do it once and kill and it wouldn't do it the next night. I'd be pissed. I'm like, what? And it was always somebody else's fault. These guys suck. That is hilarious, And the whole time it's me.
F you, this is funny.
Yeah. That's
that line.
I like that when people start telling you what the jokes were about. Like it can't be me. You guys are so stupid. You don't understand math. That's a math joke, you morons.
Hey, I know we got to wrap this up soon, but I wanted to pivot a little bit. Like, so you did a lot of hosting gigs on TV. Do you miss doing those? I mean, you want to do more of those in the future? I mean, or did you just pick those up for a paycheck? Like, what's the backstory on those?
I loved doing them.
Okay.
I'm not moving back to California, so that was, part of all of them are filmed out there.
See, it comes full circle. I told you. Back in
but
98,
you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
When I lived out there, I kept trying to get shows on. I couldn't. Go on tour with Cable Guy. I'm out on tour, and they're calling to have me come in and read for stuff. And JP, the manager, he's like he can't. And they're like, we want to see him tomorrow. And he's like, no, he's on a tour. He's making too much money. And they're like, he won't come in. And he's like, no.
Well, he also didn't want to lose his commission. He's like, no.
But here's what happened. I'd get the shows. And the reason was because they couldn't get me. Like, they were so, like, if you see you every day.
Yeah. It's a supply and demand. Supply and demand, right?
And then it's like, well, why can't we get him? And, it was like, well, he's doing an arena in Dallas. And they're like, he is? What's he doing? And then. Right. So then they're like, and he doesn't live here. He lives in Tennessee. So we're not going to fly him here for nothing.
Well, it's a great sales pitch too, because you're like, then they start kind of just that demand aspect. Like, shit, we better get him before he gets too big.
Yeah.
And then, get him on the show.
Yeah. And clearly that didn't happen, but they did get me on the show. But it was, I'd love to do more of it.
Yeah.
And the stuff I got to host was, like, a traveling show and a extreme fishing show. I mean, it was fun stuff.
I don't remember seeing the fishing show, but I do remember seeing the traveling one. My kids watched that. That was back when I don't know how old they were, but like I was like, hey, here's my buddy Reno, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So
that was the demographic.
It was like it was a family show that you could sit down.
Total family.
There's not too many shows that you can sit around with your kids now and watch. I mean, America's Got Talent maybe, and some of those things. So that was you were kind of ahead of the curve with that show. I
Well,
believe.
they said, they were like, we want to do a family show. We really think it'll catch on. And it had like numbers now that they would die for, 7 million,
Right.
10 million, stuff like that. Where back then it was like, these are not, well, these aren't going to make it. So now, of course, they're like, but that we really thought that a true family show would catch on. And it just didn't.
Did it have 2 seasons or just 1?
Just 1.
Okay.
And but I could have done that for the rest of my life. That was a blast. And the fishing show was so much fun. That Top Hooker show.
Yeah. Were you a fan of fishing before or no?
Yeah, more drinking and bass fishing.
Well, they go hand in hand, right? So.
They do with people like us, but these dudes on the show and girls were like professional anglers. Like
right.
they came
hardcore.
From, they weren't. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was fun. Well, awesome, man. This is the part of the show, the check drop, where I just kind of let the headliner here kind of walk us out of the show. However you want to finish it with either a hell gig story or something you want to ask the agent or whatever, however you want to end it.
I could tell you a hell gig story probably.
Oh, all right.
So
I always love a good hell gig story.
Do I have a minute?
You have as long as you want. I just don't want to keep you too long before the funeral parlor opens back up.
No,
so.
dude, we're shut down. The body's still back there.
Got it.
So remember Ocala, Florida?
Yes.
When they had that Comedy House Theater thing that was in the Holiday Inn in the lounge. Like you walk through the lobby of the Holiday Inn.
I never saw it. I know that it existed.
It was everything you'd think it would be. Okay. There was a brick wall that was about 3 feet wide that was actually just like wallpaper that went up the thing, right? And there was a little tiny stage in front of it. So the only club that I'd done shows at was the Punchline, which at the time was sold out every night, and the Stardome, right? Okay. And Charlie Goodnight's.
All right.
So those were the only shows I'd ever done. So I thought, I go in and I think like, yeah, comedy, I'm a comic, whatever. Go walking in, I walk in the lounge, and there's an older couple that's about 108 that are just sitting at a table. And I walk in and I go, hey, where's the comedy club? And the guy's like, you're in it. I'm like, man, like where's the club that I'm doing the show? And he's like, you're standing in it right now. And I'm like, no way.
You're on the stage.
Yeah. And the other 2 comics were standing there like, hey, man, this is it. This is it. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I got to bring you up. And I'm like, now? I'm like, there's 2 people. He's like, you got to go up. I go, I'm not going up there. And he's like, yes, you are. And the other comics are like, yeah, you are, dude. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing a show for 2 people. He's like, if you want to get paid, and I know you're staying at this hotel for 2 weeks, you're going to do that show. And I'm like, I don't want to go up there. And they're like, you need to go. Just go up there. So they turn the lights off in the showroom and they start the music and it's cranked up like dun, 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 dun. There's lights like pew, pew, pew. And this old man is sitting up front and he's like, why did they turn the lights off? And it's like, bah, bah, are you ready to rumble? And he's like, no. And like, they don't know what the hell's going on. Then the lights come on and hit the stage and the guy's like, go. And I'm like, no. And he's like, go. And the other comics are like, just go up there if you want to get paid. I'm like, fine. I'll go up there. And I go up and I go, hey, how's everybody doing tonight? And the old man goes, turn the lights back on. And I go, are you ready for your feature act? And he's like, what? And I'm like, let's bring him to the stage. Like, I didn't do any time or anything.
No announcements, no nothing.
No, nothing. I walked off, and that guy laid into me. He's like, you're going to do the show. I mean, I don't care if there's nobody in here. I'm paying you $150 a week. You know, like,
you're like, I don't need the $150 a week.
I did, though.
I go sell my blood for the.
Yeah.
Do you remember who the feature act was?
His last name was Brewer. Steve Brewer, Mike Brewer.
I know. Yeah, there's a Steve Brewer.
And the headliner was Kurt Nolan.
Okay.
This was like 1996, 1995. Oh my gosh.
Poor feature act too.
Dude, he
was son of a bitch.
When I go, are you ready for your feature act? He's like,
no.
F you, you know?
No, we're not.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So,
fun.
dude, Reno, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, I love you, dude. Absolutely.
I love you, man. It's been a good ride, hasn't it?
It absolutely. We're gonna get through this, my
Yes,
friend.
absolutely. We're gonna get through.
All you got to do is move to Nashville.
Perfect. I'll go talk to my wife. And we're gonna go sell the. We're gonna go list the house right now. I guess.
I'm gonna go get Benadryl before my
There you
eyes
go.
glue themselves shut.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, man. For everybody at home, if you need a comedian for anything, if you want to book Reno at a gig that has 2 people, let us know. Go to summitcomedy.com. He's ready. He's got his nail gun and he's ready to go. So, all right.
I'll fix your porch too.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Take care.
See you, buddy.